So the entire crypto asset ecosystem is an $800 billion ecosystem. Apple is 3 times larger in terms of market cap. So that's some perspective. Many people are saying, well, okay, is this another Lehman? Could this be, could we see the domino effect here? I've just given you one reason why. The banking system back in 08, 09, trillions and trillions of dollars, and it was the global banking system. Right now we have, it seems, from FTX, $5 to $10 billion in creditors. As FTX has filed bankruptcy, they will be making claims. The first global private, meaning not government controlled, digital, rules-based monetary system. That's Bitcoin, a very big idea. DeFi is a very big idea. And while that has been thrown into question in terms of shifting from one exchange to another, we've had a lot of shifting around. But I think DeFi, in terms of taking the middlemen out of financial services and making the ecosystem much more transparent with much less counterparty risk, is going to take off. It will continue to move forward, we believe. The Bitcoin blockchain and Ethereum, what you'll find is they have the infrastructure, the technology has not skipped a beat throughout this entire crisis. In fact, the hash rate, Bitcoin's hash rate is at an all-time high, and that is a real indication of the security of the network. On Ethereum, we're seeing the total value staked at 24 billion. That is an all-time high. And yes, a lot of people have lost a lot of money around the crypto asset ecosystem losing value here. But if we're right on the underlying technology and the underlying roles that Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to play in this new world, then I think we're going to recover pretty quickly.
What would happen if Twitter went away, and are you concerned about that?
It's been, and yes, we speak from experience. This is an extremely productive social network for us. It is our most productive. And, it truly is the global public town square. I can write an open letter to the Fed and put it out over Twitter. Now, do I think the Fed's going to listen to me? No, I don't. But that they may listen, the Fed board members may listen to someone who might think that I have something to say, which is simply a question. Wait a minute. How can you be unanimous 75 basis points at a time? How can you be unanimous when there is so much conflicting data out there, including an inverted yield curve now at 75 basis points? That's crazy. I think we're going to look back in history and say, what were they thinking? Unanimous? Commodity prices are falling. You've got excess inventories all over the place. We're seeing massive discounting. I think we're going to see deflation, and then they'll make a move in the opposite direction. But we need a steadier hand than that. We're looking at a 41% discount of this trust relative to Bitcoin today. And so we actually think there's a lot of upside. Now, one of the things that we know that Grayscale and Michael Sonnenschein at Grayscale wanted was to convert this trust into an ETF.
Right.
I think what's happened with the fallout here might increase the probability that a Bitcoin ETF will be approved. I'm not saying immediately, but we know that, and even the newest SEC commissioner, Jaime Lizarraga, I think is his name, has come out and said, we need as regulators to focus on decentralization and transparency. What is the most decentralized and transparent crypto asset in the world? It is Bitcoin. And yet retail investors do not have easy access through a liquid asset like if you look at a lot of commodity prices, not only are they down 30 to some of them 80% from their peaks, they're down on a year-over-year basis. In fact, oil itself is almost down on a year-over-year basis now. The big pushbacks on this call we get are wages and rents. We're seeing rent inflation reverse quite suddenly and dramatically. So what I think we will look back in history and say, this inflation shock was the function of a supply shock caused by COVID, supply chain problems afterwards, and even more problems after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We have to own securities in ETFs. So it is one of the few securities we can buy. And yes, it's at a very big discount. So it is more attractive. Bitcoin, if they were to even liquidate it, we've got such a big discount relative to Bitcoin that again, we don't think they're going to. This is the most valuable property. I think they're going to hang on to it. And I think over time the discount will close. Don't know if it's because of a conversion to a Bitcoin ETF. I'm sure the regulators will take a very close look at DCG and the Grayscale Bitcoin Investment Trust. But we do know this is a grantor trust, highly regulated. I mean, we had to do our homework on it. And we know that all of the Bitcoin behind GBTC is in cold storage at Coinbase, and Coinbase has confirmed this. If I can just take 1 second, I would like to give an analogy to the late 19 teens. We were in the middle of the massive, most massive innovation the history of the world had seen. Telephone, electricity, and automobile, all at the same time. But we had World War I, and we had the Spanish flu. Sound familiar? Now, that was much worse than what we've gone through. We've gone through nothing like that. But there were massive supply chain problems back then. And inflation peaked at 24%, right? In June of 1920. And by June of 1921, it was minus 15%. So I think that our 8 to 10% inflation, which is where it was at the peak, is going to turn around, and we're going to see some very big surprises on the inflation front. And you know who agrees with us? The bond market. We think Bitcoin is coming out of this smelling like a rose because of what I have mentioned previously. And I do think, though, the one thing that will be delayed is perhaps institutions stepping back and just saying, okay, do we really understand this? And once they actually do the homework and see what's happened here, I think they might be more comfortable moving into Bitcoin and perhaps Ether as a first stop.